Welcome into the first official episode of Rookie and the Vet. I'm Dante Furco here with Darren Leeds, coming to you from the Fox, Illinois and ABC News Channel 20 studios. We're here to break down all of the latest from across Central Illinois sports as well as the Illini. I don't know about you, Darren, but I'm excited to get the opportunity to just sit down and talk more in length about the topics across Central Illinois.
Yeah, and I'm a sports fan. I'm not a sports guy in the news industry. My specialty is weather, but I am very opinionated on things, and I don't hold back when voicing that opinion. So I thought this would be a great way to kind of add a little bit of some insight from someone who's just a casual watcher of sports and not doing it as a career, but definitely excited to be here. This is a great opportunity. And so, yeah, here we go. First episode.
Yeah, and what I'm most excited about is, I put together these stories every night and have short interviews, short things. But my favorite part about sports and talking it is just being able to talk kind of via my own command and not cut it down to 30 seconds. Let's sit down, talk about, say this person has been playing very well. Let's talk in length about it. Let's break it down and let's see where we can go from there. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. Just be able to talk in length. That's a big thing for me.
Definitely the news industry, we're kind of taught everything very quick. I mean, stories maybe 30 seconds to a minute, but there's always those details that we're not allowed to, or not, I shouldn't say not allowed to, we're not able to include just to kind of meet time specifications and stuff like that. So yeah, this definitely gives us a better opportunity to tell some more of those stories, give a little bit more insight, and just kind of take a deeper dive. We got lightning detected. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Always monitoring the weather, so no matter where I'm at. But yeah, I got my phone here pulled up for some of our talking points.
Yeah, and some of the other things with talking more in length. It's also interviews. I mean, we're going to have a lot of interviews, hopefully going forward, players, coaches, you name it. And also taking interviews that I'm able to do during the week and just let it ride, because obviously, as you mentioned, a lot of stuff's cut down. You don't get to see those full interviews on the TV or say on the web. And I think this is a place where we're able to kind of show those full interviews. So yeah, I'm just excited to get going.
Different platform, different take. And so, yeah, again, I hope we're able to do a lot more with some of the stuff that we're given. And yeah, it's an exciting opportunity to say the least.
Of course. And one thing I think we need to talk in length about, and it's everybody's talking in length about this, whether you're on social media, on television, you're at charity events with coaches, everybody's talking about the famous transfer portal.
Yeah, and as we talked a couple weeks ago, and we've kind of talked about this for a couple months at least, just when there's news of someone hitting the portal or anything like that, there's some good, there's some bad to it. I know I kind of lean heavily on, building programs and stuff like that. And some of the things that some Big Ten coaches have come out recently and said, I definitely see their point of view. I get that it's a great opportunity for players too, and I don't hold that against them, but definitely you kind of see the good, the bad, the ugly of it all. And so, yeah, that's going to be our initial topic of conversation for our first, because I think we could probably talk for hours about the transfer portal. So,
and one thing, if you don't know too much about the transfer portal, basically signing as a free agent with another team, you're you put yourself into that official NCAA portal where you're able to move from a college to a college. And it wasn't always like that. You used to have to sit out a year,
right?
Unless there were certain reasons you could skip that year of ineligibility, whether it was sometimes I think injury fell under that, as well as your grad year when you're able to, you graduate in the 4 years and you get that. If you had a red shirt earlier in your career, you could jump. But we've seen it evolve over the years, just people leaving. And it's getting to the point where a lot of people are not abusing the transfer portal, maybe, but definitely taking advantage of it.
I will say one of the probably best stories of the transfer portal, I would have to say, is Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
You know,
Of course.
sitting behind JT Barrett at Ohio State and then thinking he was going to get his time to be the starter there, only for them to name Dwayne Haskins the starter. So he goes to LSU and national championship, number 1 draft pick. Like, would that have happened if he would have just stayed the backup at Ohio State? I don't think so.
And I think that's a great story, because I never, when I think of the transfer portal, I don't really think of it.
That's just the one story that kind of sticks out in my mind.
And I'll have another one in a second, building off the same thing you just said. But he was early. He might have been the first year.
One of the first. I wanted 2018, 2019, something like that.
The transfer portal was a little weird when it first started. One, not many people took advantage of it. Two, I think it was a little harder to get into. But Joe Burrow, he went from Ohio State to LSU, and it was clearly the best decision of his career.
Yeah.
I mean, one, if he would have stayed there, who knows if he would have won the battle with Justin Fields. That's another one. But
I definitely would say
Justin Fields
possible
too.
National championship, but would he have been the number 1 draft pick? I don't know about that.
You don't know. And the thing, honestly, a ton of names come into my head now that I'm thinking about it. And you bring up Joe Burrow, because I don't want to say 3 of the best quarterbacks, but 3, up and coming big name quarterbacks have used the transfer portal. Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts from Alabama to Oklahoma, and then Justin Fields.
Yep.
Because he went to Georgia for a year. Should have been the starter. I forget, JT Daniels was the starter, I think.
Yes.
And
at Georgia.
Yeah.
And then he went to
Ohio State, dominated. And then Fields, I think, was the 11th overall pick, whatnot. I mean,
I remember we traded up to get him. Yep. Bears fan, by the way, so I just have to put that. But yeah, we traded up to get
with
Fields.
The Giants, maybe?
I think it was the Giants.
Well, I remember, and I'm so mad about this to this day, but there's video footage of, I don't want to say my Vikings, but my Vikings in the NFL draft room saying if Fields isn't taken with this pick before us, they were going to take him with the 11th pick in that draft. I don't remember who they ended up trading back, and then they took Darisaw. But the Vikings were planning on taking Fields with that pick. They even tried to move up to the Panthers 8th spot, but they took J.C. Horn. That's just something I'll never forgive the Vikings for, settling back. But not the topic we're on. Transfer portal.
Yep.
But you see, I mean, it's worked out we've seen it work out a lot in football. I think basketball is starting to really take over the transfer portal. And this year, I have notifications turned on for a certain Twitter account where it just drops all the transfer portal news every day, who's hitting the transfer portal, where they have interest from, and then when they commit. And it is crazy.
And I hear
every day.
There's supposedly over 1,000 athletes that are currently, I think it expands from basketball and football, but 1,000 guys that are looking for a new place to play, a new place to call home for these upcoming seasons coming in 2023. And one random just anecdote was the UConn Huskies national championship basketball were a majority of transfer guys. And I'm going to get into my one down point of the transfer portal is I think you can put a good team on the floor, but you're not building a great program because a lot of these guys are thinking NBA and you win a national championship and definitely you're going to be high up on some of those draft boards. But yeah, that's the purpose of coaching is you want to build a program, establish it, become a powerhouse in football, basketball, whatever your given sport is. And I mean, the transfer portal, like you said, it's pretty much open free agency. These guys can come and go as they please. And you're really not getting a ton of dedication where it's somebody could just want a better opportunity, maybe with NIL money in a certain state, certain town, and maybe they go seeking their own personal reasons for transferring. But
yeah, I mean,
that's one of my biggest knocks against it, I think.
I used to be a big supporter of the transfer portal. I mean, I still am in a way, but I think I'm so in the middle now because it's just there's so many athletes transferring. And then, you trickle down with Illinois and what we're covering. And I think 6 players have entered the transfer portal in 2023 from the men's basketball team. You have Sky Clark, Jaden Epps, Brandon Lieb, Severin, who's I believe a walk-on, and then there's another walk-on who hit the transfer portal, and then RJ Melendez.
Yep.
Like, there's so many players who, obviously there's reasons. There's just so many players just hitting the transfer portal. And, Illinois seeing it and getting hurt by it firsthand.
Yeah, and I can definitely see, if say you're a freshman, you're not getting a lot of playing time, and you get an opportunity to be a starter somewhere, then I can kind of be in support of that. Having to wait a couple years definitely gets, I don't know, a little tiresome of maybe you're getting a couple minutes a game, where if you can go to a smaller school, maybe you're getting, majority of the lion's share of the minutes for that position. And so a little bit more of an opportunity to kind of showcase your talents. And again, everybody I feel like is big picture NBA, NFL. Like, that's what a lot of these guys are doing. Some of them, just using it to get a good education at a school, and they don't plan on playing professionally. But definitely I can see that aspect of it. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, because RJ Melendez has been here for years. And when I heard that he was leaving, that was kind of a shocker to me. And, I've always kind of seen him as that spark plug of a player, like coming off the bench in the NCAA tournament in that first round, and he dropped 10, 11 points in like 2 to 3 minutes and kind of got Illinois back on track. So it hurts to see him kind of moving on. And I think Georgetown is his program of choice right now. And Georgetown was a great program back in the early 2000s, back in the 90s. But now you don't really hear a whole lot about Georgetown.
You're saying Jaden Epps?
Melendez.
To Georgetown. So Melendez ended up deciding on Georgia.
Okay.
Jaden Epps
I don't know
going
where
to Georgetown. But Georgetown's been thrown around for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be a tough team to beat next year. They're landing Apps. There's a couple other guys they've landed, but they're in the market for Hunter Dickinson as well. Could be going there. I know he has connections to the Georgetown coaching staff. So, that could be a spot.
You think they could maybe be the UConn Huskies of the 23-24 season?
Oh,
perhaps.
Definitely.
Okay.
And, Georgetown has a few guys, too, that are pretty solid on their roster already. They have Mutombo's son. He has never been great for them.
Sure.
But, with Mutombo, you're getting a 7-footer who will get you a rebound. But, and then also building on to that, and I think you mentioned it, but NIL is...
I think that plays a big factor.
It's playing a huge factor.
And then, I want to see these kids get paid. They're getting, a good education, and whether they're taking advantage of that or not. But NIL, is a huge thing. Some of these guys are getting paid some decent money before they're getting out of school. So if they have any debts, that's a benefit. Kind of gives them a little bit of a stepping stone when they're done with school. But I definitely think that's a big thing to entice people to come. I know that's been a topic of conversation.
I don't know how much Illinois has been affected by that. I know their athletic department does a great job. They have like a ton of sites set up for their athletes to benefit from that NIL, where they are, putting out kind of like Cameo, like video requests.
Sure.
Like, this player will do a video request for $25, or I've even seen some things where they'll show up to like birthday parties.
Exactly.
Something
and
like
that's
that.
kind of cool,
It's
I think. But I think like putting your name or face on like the local KFC or something like that, I don't know, or like Burger King.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little bit much to me, but
it's definitely pulling players away from programs, and especially if you're a program that maybe doesn't have that, I don't want to say community support or donor support, but it's going to be tough to survive. And I want to bring up something because of my connection there, but Syracuse has been absolutely destroyed by NIL. this past month, there's been a lot of controversy. So Syracuse had a big name donor, and he was bringing in like $1 million deals for players. Like, I'm talking big money. They still can't win it too, but it hasn't come in effect. A lot of that money has gone to getting recruits to come here.
Sure.
But their donor, big name donor, the school cut ties with him. They said, we don't want you involved with our program. We don't want to go down that route. So now Syracuse, who isn't going to have big name donors backing them because this university doesn't want them to, how are they going to survive? And that could be hitting other schools too. And especially, I mean, mid-majors are going to get their mid-major players, which anyway, like if you're a mid-major caliber player, you're going to mid-major. But, I mean, how are they going to survive playing against these teams when they can't land players because they don't have the NIL support?
Sure.
And there's so much that goes with that.
And, I mean, going back to what you were talking about with this donor, I mean, are they just handing out checks to be like, come play here, or are they trying to help them?
It's more like advertisement.
Okay.
Like he runs a big company, and it's like commercials,
Got it.
stuff like that, different partnerships and deals. It's not, like you said, just like handing out checks kind of thing. Because that's technically, I think,
still illegal.
Yeah.
I think it falls under the pay to play kind of thing.
Yeah. Where there's so many different rules to it, and it keeps changing. I think I don't know if it depends on the state. Also, something to add interesting, which I've been reading about lately, because Syracuse got dissed by this and affected. But if you're a foreign player, there's tons of rules that prevent you from taking NIL deals. So that's like another. And I mean, there's a lot of foreign players that come over to play college ball. Yeah. Illinois has one. And it's interesting. We've seen players, they'll like go to a different country to do the NIL deal and come back. Like Oscar Chishibe, I think his name is, from Kentucky, the center, when they were in the Bahamas for their mid-season tournament, like Illinois went to Vegas, they went to the Bahamas. They set up a ton of NIL deals there because it's off American grounds, and they can do NIL. Yeah, NIL is just going in a ton of different places.
Yeah,
but I mean, and that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But it's definitely affecting the transfer portal, and then, you know, going down the coaching route, we've seen a lot of coaches just not big fans of the transfer portal unless it benefits them, right. I feel like. But if it doesn't, then that's when you hear the complaints about it.
Right. And, I mean, let's talk about oh, man, I'm going to stumble on this name. He's coaching at USC right now, was the coach of Oklahoma.
Talking Lincoln Riley?
I was almost going to say Lane Kiffin, but I was like, not Lane Kiffin.
Well, he's at USC now.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was with Oklahoma, benched Spencer Rattler to go with Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
He gets that big job at USC, and then he brings Caleb Williams with him.
Wins the Heisman, too.
Yeah. And then Oklahoma just fell off pretty much after that. I mean, I get you're going to a certain program, you're committing to this coach. But at the same time, like, he had a great opportunity to run the house in the Big 12. Granted, they ended up losing the Pac-12 championship to Utah, and he just got beat up in that game. I don't know why they didn't pull him.
Yeah.
But
they could have won. I think if Caleb Williams was healthy, they could have won.
Yeah. But anyways, so I get you want to stay dedicated to your coach, but where do you draw the line between I'm dedicated to this program, or is it just this one person? So again, I see the drawback to that. And I'm guessing there's a lot more NIL opportunities in Los Angeles than there are in Norman, Oklahoma.
And let me ask you something, because this is something I thought about the other day when thinking about the hypocrisy of the transfer portal and why so many coaches are mad. So laying out a bunch of things. You go from one job to another. I'm going to list a couple things. Money, fit, the want to win, and how you can contribute. So why can a coach jump from college to college whenever he basically feels like it for all those things, but a player can't? And there's certain coaches that I've seen get mad about this, but why are they any different? Like, I was just thinking about that. I mean, you don't even get, those coaches are getting paid by the university,
Yep.
and the better they do, the more they get paid. But for
Right.
players, I mean, it's different a little bit with NIL now, but before, the more you played, the better you played. It made no difference.
Sure.
You never got the money. It was just for a championship.
Right. And I also will say, I mean, I think Lincoln Riley got that by going to the Pac-12. He knew he had better recruiting over in California.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very sexy place to come and play football. If you remember back to the Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart days, and Pete Carroll was the coach at USC, but it kind of almost became, you're in Hollywood. It's a Hollywood story. But I mean, you were dedicated to Oklahoma. I don't know. I'm big into, you commit to this program and like you want to see this program succeed. And like when it's not going the way you want, to just walk away and say, I know I can make twice as much money over at this other school who is desperate for a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, USC could have hired almost anybody, but I think he saw the opportunity there. I don't know. I kind of scrutinize everybody a little bit. But I will say, I mean, you're talking about jobs. I'll give you an example from my personal life. So I worked at this station in California. They were going through something. They let a bunch of our employees go. I was one of them. I was out of work for about a year. And I got the opportunity to work for their competition station. Immediately when I went in for the interview, I felt like it was a great fit. This station, everybody gelled together, all the coworkers in the newsroom, everybody got along, everybody helped each other out. I was really excited when I got that opportunity, and it was a great learning opportunity for me with some of the people I was working with. And then the only thing I kind of was focused on once I got that job was I want to do better than that station that let me go. So I can kind of see if it's a different situation. If they're parting ways and say you didn't expect that to happen to you, like never in a million years did I think I was going to get called into HR and say, hey, we're letting you go. And a bunch of other people are losing their job too. But if you're just leaving for money, then it makes it kind of look a little selfish, maybe greedy. I don't know. But to me, I was just looking for my next opportunity. I was grateful for the opportunity I got. And so there I was like, I can really shine here. And, at the same time, kind of stick it to the station that did me wrong.
I think that's for many players, that's kind of their mindset. It's just they want to be great, be better, and just succeed at the ultimate level. Well, the NBA is the ultimate level, but for some of them who will probably not see the NBA court, they gotta, do what's best for them as as their time in college basketball is in front of them. But I mean, there's so many layers to the transfer portal. But for me, I'm beginning to see more of both sides than I did maybe a year ago. Just seeing so many different, more players in the transfer portal, NIL continuing to grow. It's a crazy world. But yeah. I mean, my opinion, your opinion, we actually polled a few people on our Twitter to see, what they thought about it. And many people were saying how they don't like it. It was kind of a little in the middle with don't like it. We gave them 3 options. I like it. I don't like it, as well as kind of, as I said,
I'm stuck in the middle. Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of people were saying that they didn't like it, which I'm not surprised about. We've seen so many. I mean, you go on social media nowadays and people are hating on the transfer portal. But it really depends. Yeah, so 46% said I don't like it, 21% I like it, and 33% in the middle. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me that much.
And I get it. Like I said, it's good, it's bad. I mean, if you're landing somebody to your school and they're helping to boost your program for a season or two,
Mm-hmm.
then you love the transfer portal. But if you're having a mass exodus of a bunch of players and who's going to be the starting point guard forward next year, then yeah, maybe you're not a fan of it. But I will say, let's switch gears and talk about football. So Big Ten football, I will say Illinois just landed the transfer from Ole Miss.
Yep.
And he was the backup quarterback. So definitely that was a piece that Illinois needed. I believe the backup quarterback to
Altmaier?
No, Michigan's backup quarterback is now transferring over to Iowa.
Yep. Why can I not think of his name?
I was trying to
not
think
McNamara,
of it
right? It's McNamara.
It is McNamara.
Yep.
Because what's the other guy? McCarthy?
McCarthy, yes.
All right, yeah. So McCarthy took him to that national championship.
Yeah.
Or was it the national championship?
No, the semifinal.
That's right.
Because they lost to TCU.
Lost TCU.
Yep.
But he won that Big Ten championship over Purdue. So his backup, who was, I believe, a starter for a little bit, is now taking his talents over to Iowa. And I think Purdue just landed.
They did.
A transfer QB, and that's
from
a position
Texas.
They need.
The backup to Quinn Ewers. It went to Purdue. I mean, they got a couple guys
Hudson
in this year's
Dart. I want to say
could be they landed a few guys. I mean, so many different colleges landed. Kentucky already replaced Will Levis with Devin O'Leary, whose brother's actually on Illinois, fighting for the starting quarterback job. Yeah, I mean, we saw it a lot with the quarterbacks. I think the quarterback's that big money maker in college football, and that's a lot of people's focus. And then, touching on it quickly as we wrap up the episode, but homegrown players with college also mean a lot too, because I mean, look at this upcoming NFL draft with what Illinois is putting on the table for these NFL teams. Devin Witherspoon, probably gonna be a top 15 pick. You have Quan Martin rising the boards, Sidney Brown, Chase Brown. Chase actually didn't start at Illinois. I believe it was Chase didn't start at Illinois, but he transferred in. But he's been here for years.
Yep.
Sidney, Quan, Devin have been here for years as well. And it's sometimes those players, the more you fit into a system, the more you're able to showcase your true talents. And I mean, these guys showed it.
And I will say that is another one of my things where I'll say I am in favor of the transfer portal is, let's say you're playing across the country, but you want to play in front of your family, your friends.